What's up, everybody? Ben Rasa and Matt Gajewski here for Awesemo.com, and we are back with another college football future video ACC preview, ready to talk about Clemson and everybody else, because that's how this conference is going this year. We've obviously got a ton of content on this Awesemo Odds betting channel. If you haven't subscribed to that YouTube channel, please do that. Like this video, support us. You guys know the drill. College football is only a couple weeks away, Matt. I know that you are excited, and I know you're excited to talk about some Clemson.
Yeah, we have to talk about Clemson. I'm more excited for them in the scope of all of college football. We're talking about the ACC today. They're a little less exciting to talk about based on the current odds in their conference, but of course I'm excited.
I know you are, but yeah, we're just going to get into the ACC today. A couple of our favorite win totals that caught our eye, and then I want to give a quick plug. If you are deep into the college football research and you want to hear all about the ACC, Betting You, our podcast-only college football show, me and Matt will be breaking down literally every team, win totals, personnel, everything that you need for DFS and betting. We've got you covered on Betting You. So this is just a short preview of that, but let's get right into it. So Clemson, they got the old over-under 11.5 for their win total in the regular season here. That's asking, is Clemson going undefeated? Zero value in that line. I'm not betting it. Do you have any lean or anything to say about that?
Yeah, I have one thing to say. If you're considering this future, take all of the money you are going to bet on Clemson and bet it on week 1 against Georgia, because the entire line depends on that game. And rather than tie up your money for an entire season, you'll get your return instantly.
It's really just asking, are they going to beat Georgia? Because if they don't, they lose this prop. And if they do, it would take a minor miracle for someone else on their regular season schedule to beat them.
Yeah, and we say that because they play one of the easiest schedules I've ever seen in the ACC. They dodge all of the big opponents, Miami, North Carolina, they don't play either. So this really does come down to the Georgia game.
No doubt about it. One team they do play, though, is where I'm going. I'm going to kick things off here with my favorite ACC win total bet, and it's Boston College over 7. I see minus 130 out there. Again, shop those odds, make sure you're getting the best number. But I feel pretty good about this. This is a team that returns a lot. They've got your Notre Dame transfer again in Jurgovich at quarterback. And I just look at a squad that was 6-5 last year, but the key parts are there. They're at Clemson. Okay, that's going to be a problem. But the rest of their schedule, very winnable games to start. They've got UMass and Colgate. Those are almost freebies. Like I said, a lot of winnable home games. Even their road games I look at, teams like Louisville, Florida State. The ACC, after you get past Clemson, pretty much every game to me is winnable in that sense. So I look at a squad that I like what they're doing on both sides of the ball. They've got stability at QB. I thought this would be 7.5, maybe even touch upon 8, and it would probably be juiced to the under at that point. But for 7, I feel relatively safe that at worst, I'm looking at 7-5 and a push. I get 8-4. I cash this bet. So I'm going to get things started with Boston College this year.
I love that bet. And you look at their roster makeup, you're going to hear a lot about returning starting production. A lot of these teams are returning absurd amounts of starters just because of the COVID-19 pandemic last year. Boston College falls into this boat. And on offense, they're returning all 5 starting offensive linemen. But unlike a lot of other teams, these are actually good players. This team was 22nd in pass blocking last year. They have over 100 career starts. And we have 4 players that were at least honorable mention all ACC on the offensive line. So not only can they protect for Jurkovich, but they should have a decent run game here as well. Like what they have as pass catchers. I'm all over this bet as well on the over.
Where are you going? Because I'm glad that's good news. Step 1. I know you're a Boston College guy. You bet them a lot last year when we were doing our Saturday show. Where do you go in terms of your next bet in the ACC win total market?
So I'm going to go the other direction and look at an under here with Georgia Tech. It's currently sitting at 5. You can find 4.5 in some places. It's juiced a little bit on the 4.5 side. Right now, you're looking at about minus 105 if you take it on the 5. This is a team that's undergoing still one of the most difficult transitions in football. After 2 years ago, their head coach retired and they moved on from the triple option. So basically, you had a roster full of players that were recruited for the triple option. They're now entering their 3rd season under Jeff Collins, and it's been rocky. I think they will be improved as a team, but unfortunately, they play one of the most difficult schedules in the conference. They're going to get Clemson. They're going to get Miami, North Carolina, Pitt, Boston College, who we already talked about. In non-conference, they get Georgia and Notre Dame. And if you look at their easy games, you do have Northern Illinois and Kennesaw State, but there's not a lot of cupcake games in there. So I'll be taking the under on Georgia Tech.
it's never good when your rivalry game that you have to play every year is a team like Georgia, because that's just a brutal attachment to, the ACC. I don't think is really that strong, but you mentioned they probably have the worst of it. They don't dodge any of the really good teams, and they don't really have, Kennesaw State. That's one, but you got to find 5 more. So I'm with you there. That's a team that I do think you'll get marketed improvements, because you mentioned going from the triple option where you basically throw maybe a handful of times if you're lucky to a more standard system. That's as bad as it gets. But you mentioned you don't think Georgia Tech's going to be good. Well, Duke is going to just be awful. Under 3.5 wins. I'm getting plus money here, plus 115. I don't know, man. This is a question right off the bat. So these teams better than anybody. Who is Duke's potential quarterback? Because I've been researching, and I really don't see anything. They brought in the Clemson transfer last year. He has moved on to App State. Is there someone that's even going to lead this dumpster fire?
My guess is Gunnar Holmberg is the leader of this, but honestly, This is a battle that I think will be played out in camp, and I'm not sure we're excited about the starter either way.
That's step one. They have no stability at QB. It's just not a team that's doing a lot. They only had 2 wins last year. Now, I will say, in the positives for them, this is the start of their schedule. At Charlotte, North Carolina A&T, home to Northwestern, home to Kansas. There are wins in there, but I don't see 4 wins in there. Maybe 3, possibly 2. If it's 2, they're not getting to 4. There's no way. The rest of their schedule is full on ACC, and I see 0 wins remaining afterwards, to be honest. So even though if you're going to back this bet, be aware it's going to start a little bad. They're going to rack up a couple wins most likely, but after that, I think Duke is firmly dogs in every other game. And for that reason, at plus money, I'm willing to gamble that a team at Charlotte, Northwestern, I'm not going to say Kansas, but those 2 in particular, I think they can cause Duke problems early. And those are the only opportunities they have to win.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. They just don't have the roster makeup to win games in the ACC outside of maybe a Syracuse.
Yeah, and that's a team that they don't draw this year, which is fantastic. It's just not there for me. So I got 1 over, I got 1 under. You already took a Georgia Tech under. Where do you round out your ACC win total card?
Going with an over, I like the Pittsburgh Panthers over 7. You can find that around minus 120 on various books. And I like this, first of all, because you push if it's a 7-win season. But then their schedule features UMass, a rebuilding Tennessee, Western Michigan, and New Hampshire for non-conference play. In conference, they also get winnable games against Georgia Tech and Duke, as well as Syracuse. So I think right away you're looking at 6, likely 7 wins. And then anything on top of that, you're winning this bet. Now, they will face Clemson, Miami, North Carolina. I don't expect them to win those games, but then you get the middling competition in the ACC, a Virginia Tech. If they win one of those games, you automatically win this bet. And if you look at Pitt's roster makeup, they have a 4-year starter at quarterback in Kenny Pickett, some good receivers, Jordan Addison in particular, an offensive line that was fairly strong, 61st in pass blocking. It's definitely not a detriment to this team. And on defense, they lose a lot, but they return some elite players. Kalijah Cansey, Cam Bright, and Marquise Williams are all top 3 players at their position, according to Pro Football Focus, despite what they lost on defense already in the draft. So I like the roster makeup of Pitt, like their schedule. I think they can easily get 7 games here.
Yeah, Pitt's a team we talked about a lot last year. We're going to talk a lot this year in the DFS market. Pickett to Addison, and I believe Mack I would hope he'll be healthier. That's a really lethal combo on the outside. And it's true, when you're balancing their schedule, I feel much more confident in Pitt winning the games they need to win than them losing the games they're probably going to lose. It feels more likely that they can knock off, they get UNC at home. That's a really tough game, but I think it's winnable. Whereas to get slipped up by Western Kentucky or UMass, Western Michigan, New Hampshire, even Tennessee, I don't really see that happening. So I'm in lockstep with you there. I think we've got a good solid base, but again, I'm just going to say, we talked about a couple of teams here. If you want to hear about Florida State for some reason, or Miami, you want to hear about the U, betting U is where you need to go. So we'll have that episode out in the next couple of days. Stay tuned for that. And again, like and subscribe to the channel. We've got so much coming up, and we're only 3 weeks away from college football. Last thing I'm going to say, if you are a college football fan, you need to be following Matt_Gajewski on Twitter, has you informed about all these transfers, everything else we've got going here at Awesemo. So on that note, 4 up, 4 down. Good luck, everyone. Stay tuned for more college and NFL VODs, and we'll talk to you guys soon.